Ahead tonight, the Prime Minister back home after a successful visit to Europe. And coming up in sports, hear from the Bahamas' newest baseball draft pick. The Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The Prime Minister is satisfied with the results of his recent trip to Europe. Good evening, everyone. I'm LaDon Davis, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie and his delegation, which included Financial Services Minister Hope Strawn, returned to the capital yesterday after 2 days of talks at the European Union CELAC summit in Brussels, Belgium. The Prime Minister, who played a dual role as CARICOM chair and Bahamian Prime Minister, summed up discussions as fruitful and frank. The talks centered around a number of issues of concern to the Bahamas, including crime and security, illegal migration and education. The event provided the backdrop for members of the European Union and Caribbean and Latin American states to meet for a second time. Throughout the event, both sides have deepened relations on matters of concern, and they have adopted issues of concern as urgent action points. The Ministry of Social Services and Community Development teaming up with the College of the Bahamas Center for Continuing Education and Extension Services to launch a Leadership for Women in Politics program. With women accounting for just over 50% of the population, but less than 40% represented at the government level, there is a need for more women to enter politics. So far, 16 women will participate in the 6-week program, which will run until July 25th, covering topics such as leadership, dynamics, parliamentary procedures, along with protocol and etiquette. The Minister of Social Services and Community Development, the Honorable Melanie Griffin, and Minister of Transport and Aviation, the Honorable Gladys Hannah Martin, both underscored the initiative's importance.
I am sure you will all agree that such a course is long overdue in the Bahamas. It is a course women who are in politics, were in politics, or want to be in politics have longed for many years.
Education, healthcare, poverty, all these issues women care about. It's just an instinctive thing that we have, and I think that's very critical that this thing be represented more effectively. I think because of the coming from behind, we have to be that much more prepared, and this program, I think, will cause women to be that much more prepared.
From the crime beat, an American male visitor from Michigan spending the weekend in police custody here in New Providence after he failed to declare more than $27,000 at the Lynden Pinling International Airport's U.S. Pre-Clearance Department lounge yesterday morning. Authorities say the man was returning to the United States when United States Customs and Border Patrol officials detained him for failing to declare $27,696. The man was handed over to police and is expected to appear in the magistrate's court early this week, to face formal charges. An intense investigation continues into last week's shooting of a security officer at the L.W. Young Junior High School. Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade updated the media on Friday on their probe into the matter. Commissioner Greenslade confirmed the incident was an isolated case and had nothing to do with the school.
It was on the outside, that is in a public space, and had an intended target. There was nothing indiscriminate about it. That shooter went to the school with a precise intent, and that intent, from where we stand, was directed toward the person that was injured. It is very unfortunate that the security officer, an adult, who's a custodian at that school, at that gate, was in fact injured. We're wishing him all the best for his recovery.
Now, while police have no significant leads yet, the top cop appealed to Bahamians who may have any information on the shooter's whereabouts to assist police with their investigations.
That shooter and his accomplices in. We are going to continue to look. We're exploring all avenues, all aspects of the investigation, and we're certainly encouraging our school principals and teachers to stay close to our officers that are assigned to schools, so that at the slightest indication of any problems, because most times, things happen and something is brewing prior to.
A well-known clergyman and youth leader challenging the community to change their environment to decrease the level of crime affecting the country. The call was made to participants of the Caribbean Correctional Training Conference held last week at the British Colonial Hilton. Here's Carla Palmer.
Youth and Family Ministry Specialist, Senior Pastor of Bahamas Faith Ministries International, Dr. David Burrows, reminds us that crime is a global phenomenon.
It was at the demise of one of the spaceship projects, and the clip said, "Houston, we have a problem." Well, Houston, we have a problem. Nassau, we have a problem.
Dr. Burrows acknowledges a contributing factor to today's crime is technology, a lack of communication and socialization.
We have gotten to the point where we have more smartphones and less smart people. Our phones, we can take pictures and we can text and we can send things around the globe, but we can't get along with each other. We have more guns and less goals. We have more sex and sexualization, but less love. We've moved from the original God to the original gangster. We have more Facebook, but less FaceTime.
Additionally, Dr. Burrows believes video games, music, and movies are the reasons for a large percentage of our youth turning to a life of crime.
Looked at what young people are socialized into today. Grand theft auto. You run people down with a car, you slit somebody's throat, you sleep with a prostitute, and you get points. That's what our young people are socialized into. We used to have songs like, "Let's Stay Together. You're the best thing that happened to me." Now the songs is "My lumps, my humps, my bumps, lick it like a lollipop. All I want to do is zoom, zoom, zoom on the boom, boom."
To ultimately avoid the Bahamas operating an assembly line of criminals, Dr. Burrows says education ought to be emphasized, where children read to succeed and made to understand that the more you learn, the more you will eventually earn. Stronger families, he says, are needed, where morals and values are upheld and more parents mentoring children other than their own. Additionally, he says there needs to be reward for good behavior, guidance at all times, individual responsibility, and inclusion of all. Carla Palmer, ZNS Network News.
And still to come, there was hardly any standing room at the closing ceremony of this weekend's Crab Fest in Central Andros. That story and more when the weekend edition continues.